I am streaming in from Lagos, Nigeria, and it's such a beautiful opportunity to be here today. Thank you so much for having me, and well done on the great work you're doing. I really appreciate that which you're trying to do, even in your own space. Well done, well done, well done, well done. So, my name is Ayo Lawrence, and I'm a family life coach. I work with individuals, I work with couples, I work with organizations to support their employees, and I'm also an addictions and mental health practitioner. And it's such a beautiful opportunity for me to be here today to share with you um, on this very, very, very interesting topic we are looking at Unstuck, finding healing from dysfunctionality. I'm going to share my screen and run through what I have for us today. I hope I have, okay, please, Yanasim, can you make me a host or a co-host so I can be able to share my screen? If you find out that it's not, maybe you're unable to, I'll just run without sharing my screen. So just check if I can be made a co-host. Okay, you've made me a host, thank you. Yes, I can share my screen now. I hope you can. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
I hope you can see my screen.
I can see your screen.
Okay, great. So thank you so much, everyone, once again. So tonight we'll be looking at Unstuck, finding healing from dysfunctionality. I won't go through all this. I'll just go straight into what dysfunctionality is. And in a simple way, it is any repeated way of thinking, of acting, or relating that keeps you stuck, hurting, or far from who you were created to be. So, any way of thinking, any way of acting, and any way of relating with yourself or even people around you that keeps you stuck, that keeps you to be in that loop of hurt and far from who you were created to be is a dysfunctionality. And like our topic for tonight says, it says Unstuck, healing from finding healing from dysfunctionality. When there is any form of dysfunctionality, it is something that is personal, something that is that takes an individual through that journey of unlearning, relearning, learning, and even becoming. And it's a courageous journey because you're leaving what you have always known to something that you're not so familiar with, but you know that it's going to be to your advantage at the end of the day. So any form of dysfunction, whether it's emotional, whether it's relational, whether it's behavioral, whether it's even generational, is as a result of three things: pain that hasn't been addressed, needs that have not been met, or trauma that have not been resolved. So if an individual has experienced any form of pain, we can be emotional, we can be even physical, whatever kind of pain, that has not been addressed, or even needs that have not been addressed, or trauma that an individual had gone through in the past that is yet to be resolved, it causes dysfunctionality in that individual. And one thing I want you to know is healing is possible. No matter what has happened to an individual, healing is possible. When an individual comes to a point of self-awareness and says, I am done with going in this particular direction, that is the beginning of healing. That is the beginning of healing. I'm done in going, I'm done in going in this particular direction that has not served me so far. Healing has begun for such an individual. So I'm asking, does anyone on the call or anyone who will listen to this recording, ready to move forward, ready to heal from any form of dysfunctionality? If there is anyone who is in this kind of situation, then let's walk this path together. The first thing the person needs to do, an individual needs to do, is to acknowledge that there is a dysfunctionality, that there is a pattern that has not been serving him or her, and this must be without shame. The culture of shame has to be dealt with, really, for people to experience the healing that they really, 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 really desire. And I find out that in our climb, it's easy for people to shame other people, and when we come to that point wherein we tell ourselves that this is my journey, I'm choosing to go on this journey, I acknowledge that there is something off about me. I acknowledge that there is a particular pattern that keeps repeating itself, and I'm tired, and I want to do away with it. That is the beginning of healing. So the first step is being honest with oneself. The first step is to say, oh, what is that pattern that keeps repeating? What feels off? What feels out of place? What, is exhausting in my life? You begin to name them. You begin to name them, because when you name them, that is the first step to your healing. But when you keep quiet, when you do as if they don't exist, whereas in the real sense of it, they exist, then healing can't kick off. But about it, it begins to lose power over the individual. Is that there is a form of dysfunctionality in his or her life. If you can't acknowledge something, you can't begin to heal. So the first thing is for the individual to acknowledge the fact that there is a dysfunctionality. There is a challenge with me, and I need to put things in perspective and work on it. Then the next thing is to trace the roots, is to trace, where that dysfunctionality is coming from. Where did this come from? You ask yourself. And when you're working on healing, your pen and your notebook must be your friend, because you will be able to write things down. You will be able to pour your heart down on paper. And like I said at the beginning, unaddressed painful experiences are part of the things that causes dysfunctionality in people. So it starts from childhood in some instances, and some instances it can just be a painful life experience that an individual has gone through, and you need to go to the roots. Where is this dysfunction coming from? What are the wounds from the pains that I've experienced in the past? What are the wounds I have carried, sometimes knowingly and sometimes unknowingly? What are they? What are they? Then you trace the roots. And when you're tracing the root of this dysfunctionality, you are not doing that to blame yourself or to blame anyone. You just want to know. You just want to have a deep understanding of where the dysfunctionality is coming from. I think I would like to have a little background. Dysfunctionality happens in families when there is constant conflict, when there is emotional distance, where there is lack of healthy communication, where there is abuse, neglect, and control. All this causes dysfunctionality, in an individual. Sometimes, even when children are being forced to grow up quickly, to act like adults, it causes dysfunctionality. Then another thing is an individual can experience dysfunctionality even by repeating harmful habits. So maybe there's an addiction, maybe there's a self-sabotaging lifestyle or attitude. These things, causes dysfunctionality in the life of an individual. Then people who have trust issues as well, it causes dysfunctionality. People who are avoidant or people who overreact emotionally, you know, you find out that dysfunctionality, is evident in such individuals. Then also when it comes to relationships, when they've experienced toxic cycles of people blaming them, or people trying to control them, or people just withdrawing from them, it's also an example. Then when people are dysfunctional, you find out that they also fear being close to people. They fear being intimate with people. It's a romantic relationship. They fear being intimate with their partner. And they're also afraid of being abandoned. So when you see someone who is afraid of, being intimate, afraid of being abandoned, such an individual, you can be sure that there is a level of dysfunctionality in the life of such a person. And then people that stay in unhealthy patterns, they just stay there because it feels normal, it feels usual. That's also a red flag. I just thought I needed to touch on this, before I move on. And like I said at the beginning, this and any form of dysfunctionality comes from unhealed trauma. It comes from even sometimes behavior that you have learned from family or from the culture that you grew up in. And even in some instances, it's a survival strategy for some people. You know, they've accepted it as a coping mechanism, and it has become a part of them. It has become permanent patterns that keep reoccurring from time to time. So let me go back to the things that you can do to be able to heal from any form of dysfunctionality. I mentioned that you need to trace the roots. You need to trace the roots. What are the experiences that such an individual have gone through in life? What are the wounds that an individual has carried, through life? And like I said, when you're tracing the roots, you're not trying to blame anyone. You just want to be able to understand so that you can support yourself accordingly. Then you need to be able to embrace the inner work. And this is where the work is. Um, Healing requires going inwards. Healing requires sitting with yourself. Healing requires you being comfortable being with yourself. And part of the ways that you can embrace the inner work is through therapy, is through coaching, so that we can be able to unpack those unhealthy patterns, so that we can be able to, ask you questions that will reveal the patterns that have not been um, serving you. And I mentioned journaling as well. I said you have to friend your pen and your journal. So you need to be able to put down what are those emotions that you're experiencing? What are those things that are triggering you? Is it that someone said something? Is it that you're smelling a particular perfume? Is it that the environment just reminds you of something and it triggers, the um, it triggers you and makes you to become uncomfortable? Then another thing you need to do to get yourself unstuck and go on that journey of healing is to be mindful. Notice your reactions pattern. Notice what is happening around you and how you are reacting to what is you know um, um, happening around you. And another thing is also to even engage mindful meditation. I know that quite a number of people are beginning to embrace meditation now. But some years ago, when you hear about meditation, it's like, oh, it's spooky, it's devilish, and things like that. But we have come to understand that meditating is being in tune with yourself, focusing on your breath, taking time to slow down, taking time to be present, taking time to ground yourself and be in the now. So you need to embrace the inner work through mindfulness. And also faith and spiritual renewal is very, very important even on this journey, especially when you find out that the dysfunction has challenged who you are, has challenged your sense of worth, has challenged, your identity. And another thing you can even do is to embrace affirmation, to remind yourself who you are. Quite a number of us, when we slip into that space of not being our optimal self, it's either we have forgotten who we are or we don't even know who we are. And one thing that affirmation does is it reminds us of who we are, or even tells us, for those who don't even know who they are, who they are. So the inner work must be embraced on this journey of healing, and getting unstuck. Then intentionality is very, very important. You have to break that circle. You have to break the dysfunctional pattern intentionally. And we have a few things that can help you to be able to break this pattern. You have to be able to set boundaries. So if you find out that there are some things that you're doing that are intentionally or that are putting you in that space wherein dysfunctionality, just keeps reoccurring over and over again, you have to be able to set boundaries. You have to be able to even communicate effectively. You have to be able to um, relearn, like I put here, communication skills. How do you, talk to people? How do you let people know what you want, what you desire? How do you, say your no and stand by your no? Then another thing is you have to be able to emotionally regulate. So when you find out that you have been triggered, when you find out that something, has happened in your environment that you are not happy with, you need to be able to hold yourself and not just burst forth and not just, behave in a way that you won't be proud of at the end of the day. And one thing under this breaking the circle intentionally is to surround yourself with people that you know are emotionally mature, people that you know will be able to model the kind of life you want to live. So when you surround yourself with people, with individuals that are mature, individuals that feel safe, that feel comfortable in themselves, you find out that the circle of dysfunctional patterns is broken. Then, this is very, very crucial. When you are on this journey of healing, of being unstuck, of of being, or you're on this journey of healing from any form of dysfunctional habit, you need to remind yourself that it can't just happen overnight. It's a process, and you have to be patient with yourself. So if you find out that, oh, you're doing a particular thing and maybe you sleep or you fall back into the old pattern, just pick up from where you are at. Be patient with the process, because the dysfunctional habits, patterns, didn't just happen overnight. They didn't just develop overnight. They developed over time. Some people years. But the thing you need to do is to be glad that are you are even in that space of awareness that something needs to change. You need to be glad, you need to, rejoice that you are in that space of, oh, I am aware this part of me needs to be worked on, and then you know that it's a process, you're patient with yourself, you're extending grace to yourself, and you remind yourself that yes, healing can sometimes be messy. Indeed, it can be messy, because you can at some point find out, oh, I'm doing so well today and tomorrow. But it's a good thing you have picked up the process. And like I put here, it is a holy work, and see it as such. Pat yourself at the back, encourage yourself, give yourself a hug, and just tell yourself you're doing well. You're doing well. The fact that you have even realized that there's a need for a change is a great one. And I celebrate you. You call yourself by name. Oh, I celebrate you. Well done for this work you're doing on yourself. Well done for choosing to do the inner work. Well done for choosing to heal despite all you have gone through. Well done. And we find out that when you do that, when you extend grace to yourself, you receive strength, both inner strength and the outer strength, to keep going on. Then you also need to redefine what is normal. Because you've been used to a particular pattern, you find out that it feels normal. But when you engage being present, when you engage being mindful, it helps you to be able to create a new normal. So whatever it is that you have engaged in before, whatever feels normal before, but now that you are present, now that you are self-aware, now that you know that this is not serving me, it helps you to be able to create a new normal. It helps you to be able to create peace, clarity, mutual respect, self-awareness. And it helps you also to be able to redefine what love is. It's part of the question I ask people when I'm having sessions with them. For you, what does love mean? What does happiness mean? What is safety for you as a person? What does success look like for you as a person? and even for the future generation. Because when an individual heals, you find out that the people that the generation that comes after that individual, that particular individual, also experience healing, also experience healing, also experience, or rather pick up, walk in the fullness of the healing that the generation before have um, have done, so to speak. So the work the generation before have done, the generations after them enjoy, the work that has been done. So whatever has been normal, which is a dysfunctionality, has now been worked on, and there's a new definition of what should be. Love is being defined in a healthy way. Safety, success, is now being defined in a healthy way. And the individual who has chosen to do the inner work, you know, now begins to live life in full for himself and even for the future generation. Then there is a need for an individual to consider a guided journey. So if peradventure, the dysfunctionality has really, really eaten deep into an individual, such a person can sign up for programs that can support him or her on the healing process. And the things that are usually handled during this healing process or this guided journey is helping the person to reframe limiting beliefs. So, for instance, if the person says, "Oh, this problem is going to destroy me," that's a limiting belief. But the person can change it and say, "Oh, this situation I'm in is for my highest good. This situation I'm in is bringing out the best out of me." The person has been able to reframe the limiting beliefs. Then another thing is detoxing, you know, or detoxifying our thoughts, detoxifying our thoughts. We find out that our words, our thoughts, and our actions give us the life that we have. So, whatever we are thinking, definitely we find a way out of our mouth. So, we need to be able to detoxify our thoughts. We need to be able to detoxify our thoughts. And when there's a detoxification of the thoughts, you find out that the healing is complete. The healing is quicker. Then emotional resilience. A lot of us feel overwhelmed, feel choked because we've not been able to build capacity over time. So when you get someone to hold your hands, when you sign up for a program, that will support your healing process, you find out that you become emotionally resilient. You find out that you build capacity to be able to go through life, and you are no longer stuck. You are no longer stuck. And also, even in this process, this healing process, you find out that you begin to cultivate clarity. You are much more confident to be able to face life and its life and its and whatever comes with it. So whoever has a challenge with any form of dysfunctionality, healing from any form of dysfunctionality, you can sign up for programs that will help you reframe limiting beliefs, detox your thoughts, build emotional resilience, and cultivate clarity and confidence. And on this note, I will be wrapping up my conversation with you And yeah, I hope this has really, 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 has really, really, how will I call it? Put you in a space of choosing to go on the journey to heal from every form of dysfunctionality. And I think I can still, let me just add a few more things. I'm not sharing again. I'll stop sharing. I think I can still add one or two things to healing from dysfunctionality. It's also important that you build healthy relationships, relationships that will help you to connect safely. So, building healthy relationship is another thing that can help you to heal from any form of dysfunctionality, and also forgiving yourself and forgiving the people in your life. It's important, that you remind yourself that when you forgive, it is for your freedom. It is for your freedom. It is for you to release the hold of the past, you know, to release yourself from the hold of the past. So forgiveness is very, very, very key on this journey of healing. And then I would like to now wrap up. Let me just wrap up by saying that healing is not a destination, it is a journey. Sometimes you'll fall back on your old habits, and the main thing is for you to get back up with compassion, get back up with compassion, and note that you are not responsible for the dysfunction that raised you, but you are responsible for the healing that frees you. You are not responsible for the dysfunction that raised you, but you are responsible for the healing that frees you. And on that note, I am wrapping up now. I hand over to you. Thank you so, so much. God bless.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you very much for your time and thank you for this wealth of knowledge. Thank you to everyone who is here. And if you have any question, you can post it either on Zoom or Facebook. I'll be able to pick it up and then we can ask questions, and I'm sure you would get answers and clarity to your questions. We have some questions here that some people have already sent, and if we can just start with them before the people on Zoom or Facebook send their questions. So the first question is, how do I heal? I'm still connected to the reason or source of my dysfunction.
Yeah, there is something that I love to share with people, and it's about our circle of control and the things that are outside of our control. So we need to be able to separate that. So yes, you may still be connected to a source that has the source of the dysfunction, maybe because maybe you're still a minor, maybe you're still young, or maybe you can't just leave that space yet. You just need to remind yourself that there are some things that are in your control and there are some things that are outside of your control. And when that individual focuses on the things that are in his or her control, he helps. And such an individual is able to create boundaries. around himself or herself. Let me just read out some things that are outside of our control. And the things outside of our control is the past, the future, the action of others. So if you are in a space wherein there's a lot of dysfunctionality by other people, you need to remind yourself you can't control others. I am on this journey. I am working on myself, and I choose to do the work on myself. The opinions of others as well, outside of your control. What happens around you, outside of your control. What other people think of you, outside of your control. The outcome of your effort, how others take care of themselves, is out of your control. The things in your control are your boundaries, your thoughts, your actions, the goals that you set, what you give your energy to, how you speak to yourself, and how you handle challenges. So it is important that I'm trying to go back to the question. So it is important that even if you are in a space, that has a lot of dysfunctionality, you just focus on the journey that you're on. You just focus on the journey that you're on. I've itemized how you can heal from dysfunctionality. You just make sure that you just focus on that. It's your own journey. You're acknowledging that, okay, there is a challenge here. You're telling yourself that I choose to be in the present. I am mindful. You're telling yourself that, okay, yes, this is here, but I'm going to extend grace to myself. So all the things that I've itemized, while speaking earlier, are the things that this individual needs to focus on while he or she is still in that environment. If you can live, great, but if you can't, you just have to be able to note the things that you can control and the things that are outside of your control, and just extend grace to yourself in that, within that space of the things that you can control. Can I go on to the next question?
Yes, I will just ask the next question just so other people, in case somebody has the same question. So the second one says, is it possible to fix a dysfunctional family?
Okay, so we need to understand that what makes up a family? Individuals make up a family. So you can't just say you want to fix a family, as it were. It's individuals that are doing the work on themselves, individuals going on that journey, individuals becoming self-aware that there is something I need to do with myself. There is something that is not, there's something off about me as a person, and I'm choosing to go on that journey. So as an individual goes on the journey, another individual goes on that journey, you find out that the dysfunctionality begins to let me use the word disappear from the family. So you can't just say, oh, I want to heal a family. It has to be an individual work. As the father, the mother, the children, the boy, the girl goes on that journey of healing, you find out that at the end of the day, the family becomes whole. So you can't just pick the whole family and say, oh, I want to heal this family. No, it's an individual work, individual inner work, and now makes the whole thing a beautiful one at the end of the day.
Thank you. The third question is, how can I cope with an emotionally distant spouse? Is this a valid ground for separation?
Okay, so the first question you will need to ask is, what is happening with the spouse? What is happening with the spouse? The communication line needs to be opened up, and for you to be able to get in touch with that person. If the person had always been like that, It might be that something that had happened in the past has made him or her, to just not find it easy to emotionally connect. But if it is something that just developed after a season, it's great to just open up that communication. Oh, sweetheart, I noticed that you are emotionally distant. What is happening with you? What is happening with you? How can I support you? Because sometimes it may not even be about you. It may just be something that has happened to the person, maybe in the past, or maybe something the person is going moment. But if you don't ask, you don't ask they're interested in the person's life, you just find out that you can misjudge such an individual. You can even find it, because I can see that there is a, um, a, a second question to this, into this question, that is this a valid ground for separation? You can find out that even if you leave that person, because you didn't find out what the individual is going through, you made a mistake, as it were. So a valid ground for separation, we can't just make it a blanket yes or no. You need to be able to relate with this individual, to know where he or she's coming from, and to find out what exactly is going on in his or her life. Show empathy, show concern, show that you're not just ready to throw away the baby with the bathwater. You really want to find out what is happening with that person and support him or her on the journey of healing, so to speak. So, yes, I wouldn't say that you should just separate because of emotional distance. I know it can be very painful when you're trying to connect with someone, and, someone that you say you love, and you just find out that it's just so impossible to do so. But you need to be patient, to have conversation with the person, and just open up yourself to say, what is happening here? Can you allow me into your space, and let's see what we can do together as people in a relationship.
Yes. Thank you very much for the answers. And yes, just like Auntie Ayo has already said, you can't just throw in the baby with the bathing water. So I think the best thing is you connect with your spouse, talk, and if possible, if both of you can see a therapist or a family life practitioner, I think that would be best. And also for people who are asking how you'll be able to connect to Auntie Ayo, is it possible for you to send maybe number, somebody, if somebody wants to connect with you for um, maybe they want to go through a session of healing from any form of dysfunction or any form of addiction or mental health issue. We can.
Okay, yes, I can just post that 2340184668090. Or maybe I should just share my screen again. Let me share my screen again for people, so that people on Facebook can. Okay, so yes, this people can
So
connect with
somebody
me.
can.
Yes, they can screen grab this and just connect
Yes.
with me via any of this content. Thank you so much, ma'am, for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. And thank you everyone for coming. Thank you for honoring this invitation. I'm really grateful, and we hope you'll be able to find clarity from whatever it is you're going through. And if you need maybe help with anything, you can contact me or contact Auntie Ayo. We are all able to help you now until we will be able to help and see how we can push each other up as we journey through life. It is not enough that we just journey alone. It will be good for you to connect with people what also kind of challenge with you. So thank you everybody for connecting with us. If you have any question, you can send it through. I'll be able to send it through to Auntie Ayo, and then she'll be able to respond and I'll send it to you. So if you have any question, you can send it through to me. And thank you everybody. Thank you for those who are in the area. It's already night, and I'm sure some people want to go to bed. And even Auntie Ayo too. It's been a long day for her. And thank you so much, man. Sorry for the delay and all the problems we had with glitches and everything. Thank you, everybody, and thank you so much, everyone. God bless you, Auntie Ayo. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining and for staying up until now. I know that there was a bit of hitch, but we were able to still pull it through. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless.
Amen.
Thank you. It's been a really good session. Thank you so much. Oh, see.
Thank you.
I hope it's not recorded. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I guess I can end it now.